Breaking news. In response to Israel's war with Hamas, these 8 countries have recalled their ambassadors. At least 8 countries have recalled their ambassadors from Israel in protest of the worsening humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip since Israel began its war against the militant group Hamas about a month ago. After a deadly surprise attack by Hamas on October 7 in Israel, Israel has increased its bombardment of Gaza in recent weeks. The U.S. government has labeled them a terrorist group. Israel's attacks on Gaza and its blockade of needed supplies to the territory have been met with warnings from many international humanitarian organizations that a humanitarian crisis is imminent in the region. 8 countries have withdrawn their ambassadors from Israel in protest. And in the wake of the ongoing fighting, Bolivia severed all diplomatic ties with Israel, making it the first country to do so. To date, these countries have withdrawn their ambassadors. Africa, South. On Monday, the government of South Africa announced that it would no longer maintain an embassy in Israel. At a press conference on Monday, Minister in the Presidency Khumbudzo Ntshavheni announced that the South African government has decided to withdraw all of its diplomats in Tel Aviv for consultation. Furthermore, she said that the cabinet is disappointed by the refusal of the Israeli government to respect international law and the United Nations resolutions with impunity. Last week, South Africa issued a statement urging Israel to adhere to its obligations under international law and protect civilians. Jordan. Last week, Jordan withdrew its ambassador from Israel in protest of the ongoing conflict in Gaza, which has reportedly killed over 10,000 people. Jordan is a major U.S. ally in the Middle East and has absorbed generations of Palestinian refugees. At the time, the government explained its action as a expression of Jordan's position of rejection and condemnation of the raging Israeli war on Gaza, which is killing innocent people and causing an unprecedented humanitarian catastrophe. Throughout the years, Jordan has advocated for a regional ceasefire and a two-state solution between Palestine and Israel. King Abdullah II and Secretary of State Antony Blinken met for the second time since the war broke out on Saturday to discuss the situation in the region. Turkey. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan accused the Israeli government of intentionally violating international law and killing civilians in Gaza in an attempt to gradually erase Palestinians from history in its decision Saturday to recall its ambassador from Israel. "We will back plans that bring calm and stability to the area." According to Turkish media, he said, "We will not support plans that will further darken the lives of Palestinians, that will gradually erase them from the scene of history." The Israeli government pushed back, calling the Turkish decision another step to side with terrorist organization Hamas. Chile. Last week, Chile's President Gabriel Boric announced that his country would recall its ambassador from Israel in response to Israel's treatment of the Gaza Strip. Concerned that Israel is breaking international law with its attacks on Gaza, the Chilean government issued a statement expressing that concern. It called Israel's actions a collective punishment of the Palestinian civilian population in Gaza, and claimed that Israel does not adhere to fundamental norms of international law. Colombia. Last week, Colombia announced it was recalling its ambassador from Israel and condemning the recent killings of Palestinian civilians in Gaza. In its statement, the Colombian government emphasized the need for a ceasefire and urged the Israeli government to follow international law in its effort to eliminate Hamas. Chad. Several media outlets reported on Monday that Chad, concerned about the violence in the region, recalled its ambassador from Israel. An official statement from the Chadian government read, "Chad condemns the loss of human lives of many innocent civilians and calls for a ceasefire leading to a lasting solution to the Palestinian question," as reported by CNN. Honduras. Last week, Honduran President Xiomara Castro made announcements on X, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, that the country was recalling its ambassador from Israel. Castro's decision was explained by the serious humanitarian situation suffered by the Palestinian civilian population in the Gaza Strip, as stated by Honduras. According to the Associated Press, the Foreign Affairs Ministry issued a statement in which it said, Honduras energetically condemns the genocide and serious violations of international humanitarian law that the civilian Palestinian population is suffering in the Gaza Strip. Bahrain. According to Reuters, Bahrain's parliament said that the country's ambassador to Israel has returned home. This comes after the Israeli ambassador to Bahrain had already left. Parliament issued a statement to Reuters confirming the departure of the Israeli ambassador from the Kingdom of Bahrain and the subsequent decision to return the Bahraini ambassador to Israel. However, Israel insists that relations are stable, as the Wire service pointed out. Bolivia. The Bolivian government announced last week that it would be cutting diplomatic ties with Israel over the country's war with Hamas, making it the first country to cut ties with Israel since the start of its conflict. Prior to 2020, Bolivia's left-leaning leadership under President Evo Morales severed ties with Israel in protest of Israel's actions in Gaza.